person. That's good. Let's get started. This is part 2 of last night's horrible, terrible idea of live streaming while I was in the middle of deliveries. That was dumb. That was dumber than dumb. It was dumb and dumber. But tonight's going to be a little different. It's a little earlier. Some people may actually still be at work. If you live on the West Coast, it's only 4:40. You might be commuting home, depending on what job you have, of course. East Coast, what is it? 7:40 or 8:40? I think it's 2 hours ahead on the East Coast. And Central Time at 6:40. That's the time zone I'm in. Ooh, tailgaters. So, good evening. Stand-up citizen perspective. Awesome. I'm actually able to see some of these comments because I'm doing hands-free, so everything is a larger size, so I don't have to touch the screen. And of course, I'm watching the road. I'm not staring at my phone. It just has notifications on it. Same thing I do when I'm driving, when I used to drive Uber and Lyft. And when you're doing like food deliveries, you gotta kind of glance at your phone every now and then. It happens. It is what it is. To a certain degree, we have to multitask. It's the texting and driving that's dangerous, where you're just totally focused on your phone or trying to make a point to someone. You're like, I just got to get this out there. If I don't respond, quickly, they're gonna think that they won. So I gotta hurry up and get this response, and then you crash and you die, and that's the last thing you ever texted. You're an ass. But okay, on the Nichols situation, man, God, it's such a terrible thing that happened to him. But what's going to come out of it is hopefully some type of, I don't know, reform is such a buzzword. Reform. Cops starting to get charged with murder anytime they kill someone, just for bruising their ego, just for not immediately surrendering their 4th and 5th Amendment protections, and immediately, politely, talking to the police and telling them everything they want to know, and assuaging all of their fears, or their mere suspicion masquerading as reasonable, articulable suspicion. I'm a cop, you're a piece of trash, so if I want to know what you're doing, you better tell me, because I can make your life very difficult. And if on top of that you give me some lip, oh hell no. My buddy's back in the locker room, more accurately the communal shower, where they practice their trigger pull, are not gonna let me live this down if I let some filthy, smelly, stinking taxpayer talk back to me. Now that doesn't fly. We don't spend half of our paycheck on steroids and spend days at a time in the gym practicing our trigger pull to let some dirty citizen backtalk us. So that's what's wrong with policing today. It's just join the military, man. You want to kill people? Join the military. Yes, I understand we have very dangerous gangs in America now. We have a lot of South American gangs. They're able to get a hold of fully automatic weapons. I'm actually for the armored vehicles. I'm for bulletproof vests. I'm for training. I'm going to stay on the frontage road, the feeder road, depending where you're from. I'm for all of that stuff, but I'm not for going out and declaring war on the general public. If we know of a cell of hardcore drug traffickers, even though most of the time when you research it, they all end up being on the CIA's payroll, every last one of them without fail. There have been retired DEA agents who have said, you want to know what's going on with the drug war in America? He goes, come work for the DEA for a little bit of time. He says it's all corruption. It's only the people who don't play ball with the government who get caught, who get busted, who get burned. Yeah, thank you, appreciate that. So anyway, I don't want to go too much off of that, but the whole riots thing, and you know, I posted something on my community page. I reposted it. It was from another channel, GBTY team. I'm honestly not even really sure who that is. I just know I saw a funny video or a funny clip of theirs or a funny meme, and I started I think I subscribed and I started getting notified of their stuff. It's a lot of it is interesting stuff, but then a lot of it is really weird, like almost like pornographic stuff. And I'm like, what is this? But it wasn't enough to make me unsubscribe, so I still see some of his stuff. I thought that was a cool meme that he posted, so I reposted it. But I don't care. I don't care if they go out and loot and burn down police stations and police cars. I'm not saying people should do that. I'm not saying I agree with that. I'm saying I don't care, because the whole point is don't kill people. That creates civil unrest. Civil unrest creates a perfect environment for criminals and thugs and people who don't care about black lives, if you want to use that buzzword, who don't care about, it's not a black or white thing, who don't care about police brutality. They just want to go out and loot. Yeah, sure, that's fine. I don't disagree with that. But why are they out there looting? They're out there looting because you're murdering people in cold blood in the streets, and usually nothing happens. I think it's very possible that the fact that these guys were charged, or the fact that they were black, I'm not sure how big of a part race plays in it. I really don't know. It's hard to say. But I know people are just as angry, despite the fact that they were black cops, as they were if it had been white cops. Speaking of white cops, what was that one cop doing who just kept pacing back and forth, never went over to where the guy was laying on the ground? He'd lean up against a car, he'd walk down the road a little bit. What was he, having a panic attack or something? Yeah, they needed a distraction. Federal police reform, that, yeah, I agree with that. Department of Justice is supposed to be the one that handles police corruption and police brutality, and they've spanked some police departments' asses before. I know Seattle got a real good beating from them. Every city, every town, burn the precinct to the ground. Oh man, only because I'm slightly a public figure, I don't want to outright agree with that statement. But I'll just say the same way I said it earlier. If that was to happen, I wouldn't care. I'm not calling for anybody to do that. And I think that violence begets violence. And I think that at some point you reach a place in your life where you just want less anger and less hatred and less killing. And it may be that I'm getting to that point. I don't know. But yeah, I'm not going to lose sleep over it. Let's put it that way. It's one thing when everybody's having a good time and life is good, and then some people decide to suddenly go out and loot and riot, you know, over perceived injustices or even real injustices. But come on, man. It's like, how much can we take before it's just enough? And what is going on with the, okay, here's another thing. When I went to the academy, it wasn't police academy. I went to the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center in Georgia. All of our instructors were old school, crusty geezers. Old school, crusty geezers. Okay, back in the day where you could beat the crap out of people, you could nightstick colored folk and get away with it. And I was always like, you know, I'm really not crazy about this, because these guys, who knows how they even got here? Some of them were probably being disciplined for serious violations, and they ended up being assigned as instructors. I mostly kept this opinion to myself because I was a rookie. I was a maggot. I was trying to get higher. I was trying to make, you know, trying to graduate, get my badge and my gun so I could go out and save the world and be a tough guy. And I learned some things doing that job too. But I'll save that for another video. That's an interesting story. But anyway, all that to say that yes, we definitely need reform and some type of a national standard. As much as I hate to say this, I'm glad that Biden is calling the Nichols family to the White House, Now, he's also calling someone who tackled this alleged shooter, so it's going to be a big anti-gun orgy at the White House. So obviously I don't support that. I'm totally pro Second Amendment, as you know, you might guess. First Amendment goes really close with the Second Amendment. Some places say, or some people say, the Second Amendment protects the First. But I do like that he's inviting the family. I don't know that Trump would have done that. I could be wrong. Could be wrong. And I'm not Trump bashing. If you've seen any of my videos, you know that I don't hate Trump. I don't necessarily love the guy, but I also don't hate him. Because I actually researched some of the stuff that supposedly he said and did, and most of it was BS. But long story short is that I'm glad, because it's going to just put a spotlight on this, and it's coming at a good time while I'm in the middle of fighting a lawsuit where I'm alleging police brutality and government overreach, and their attorney is just trying to make it seem like I'm just some dirty criminal who got exactly what he deserved. And why am I making such a big deal out of this? They only abducted me for 2.5 to 3 minutes. Like, what's your problem? You know, forget that. It is a very real and present fear that you can have when being unlawfully arrested, that your life could possibly end right there. That could be it. That could be it for you. At any moment, they could decide that you're resisting and just start beating the crap out of you. I really haven't seen anything that bad. I don't think, honestly, all the bad police videos I've seen, I don't think I've even ever seen that before. They always have some type of, what do they call that? Plausible deniability when they're beating the crap out of someone, beating a criminal to death, that the person was tensing up, kicking his legs. He was reacting to being electrocuted, and so we kept beating him so he would stop reacting to being electrocuted. That happens a lot. But just outright grabbing someone and just torquing them up, I don't think I've ever seen that before. Unless I just can't remember right now. Maybe I have. But mostly what I've seen is just way overreaction to someone not doing what the cops wanted. So that's all I was going to say. And then I was going to try and bring it back around to George Floyd, because people said the same thing. Fentanyl Floyd, he was a criminal, he was a felon, blah, blah, blah. Why are you feeling sorry for him? He died of a drug overdose. The cops did nothing wrong. And that's just so dumb to me, because it's the same concept. People went out and looted and rioted because the cops murdered somebody. Plain and simple, cause and effect. Any spray. Well, I appreciate you guys for coming back out again. Last night was, like I said, was a fail. I shouldn't have done that, but I thought it was going to be slow, and it did slow down later on. But I'm genuinely not doing anything right now except driving home. So I figured, well, this would be a good chance for the couple to 3 people who are interested in what I was going to say. I'll go ahead and post this up. That's pretty much it. Unless anybody wants to post a question there, I'll answer it. Other than that, I'm going to leave it on for another 2 to 3 minutes. We'll try and hit right at 17, 18, maybe 20 minutes, and then I'll shut it down. I pretty much got to say what I was wanting to say yesterday. I'm just pissed. I'm just pissed that this keeps happening. And everything I read is just bad, 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 bad. They didn't know the reason for the traffic stop. They fired 3 fire department employees, a female supervisor, a quote-unquote lieutenant, all these military titles to public service. Lieutenant sat in the car and never even went out to assess the situation, and the other 2 idiots didn't even go over and render aid, from what I understand. And it took them 20 minutes to get out there, and it's all because it went over the radio as someone fighting with the cops, or someone beating up the cops. Real quick, does anybody remember that story about the cop who pulled over that black guy who was delivering newspapers at night in Washington State? And he went on the radio and said that the guy was trying to kill him, that he had tried to kill him, and he got like the whole police force to race out there, and it was just this guy delivering newspapers. That guy's on trial. I didn't know this. That guy's on trial. Like I still get news from Washington State, because I used to live there, and that popped up, and he's on trial. I don't know what the actual charges are. I can imagine, but I didn't know that he got arrested and was on trial right now. So that's good news. he didn't get in on the beating. Well, he still had a chance to. The guy was just laying there, totally defenseless. He could have gone over and gotten in on the beating. But it just was weird. It's like, it was almost like he was trying to stay away from the situation. Like he knew that it was wrong. He knew that they had gone way overboard. To me, that's what it seemed like. Maybe he was just trying to stay away. I think I'm giving this cop way too much credit. I like the way, damn, who's this comedian? He played on Rescue Me. That guy was a police chief. Really? Oh my God, that's embarrassing. He's just walking around like he was just lost, like he didn't know what to do. The guy from Rescue Me, I can't think of his name. He's a comedian. Dennis Leary? Dennis Leary said it in a movie. Someone was like, yeah, but the cops are going to come. And he goes, what? He said, cops? Cops are garbage men with guns. He's like, they're cops. They're garbage men with guns. Oh, that's hilarious. I hate to say it, it's true sometimes, man. Especially in some of the bigger cities. God, it's like they just hire anybody. I can't believe some of the people who are cops these days. So you got like the super high and tight former military guys, the you know, the super soldiers. They want to be Jack Bauer. They think they're Jack Bauer. That's probably an old reference right now. About the rules. Just going to do it my way or the highway guys that are just waiting to retire. Those are the ones that scare me. Some of the new guys scare me too, because they have something to prove. They think they're at war with the American public. But mostly it's kind of the old crusty guys that scare me. They all scare me now. I basically decided not to do any more auditing. I'll go with a group. But just going by myself, not knowing if I'm gonna make it home that night. Not necessarily meaning I think I'm gonna be killed, which that can happen, but just not knowing if I'm actually gonna be locked up, you know, versus just being arrested, which is what happened to me. Despite all the people who try and deny it, they just will not understand that an arrest is not just when you go to jail and get booked in. An arrest is any time your free movement is prohibited by an external force acting upon it. That is an arrest. When you get pulled over to get a ticket, that's an arrest. I don't care what anybody says. They can argue till they're blue in the face. I know this for 100% fact. That is an arrest. You are under arrest. You just don't get booked into jail, and you don't get presented before a magistrate. If you refuse to sign the ticket, guess what happens? They put you in handcuffs, they take you to jail. Because that ticket is you like basically getting a bond. It's like a PR bond, a personal recognizance bond. You're being released, promising to go show up in court. You were under arrest because your free movement was prevented. So it's definitely an arrest. That's why as a security guard, you're not allowed to step in front of someone. You're not allowed to lay hands on someone. The only time that you're allowed to is there's two situations. Situation number one, your employer, the contract you have, has a special agreement with your security company with the employees, where the employees agree, if I engage in such and such conduct, security has the right, I hereby relinquish my right to not be touched by security. They are allowed to grab me and put me into handcuffs. That's the first situation. The second situation is life and limb. If the security guard, their life is being threatened by you, or you're threatening a third party's life, the security guard can go hands-on and do whatever it takes, including deadly force, to stop you from killing someone or seriously hurting someone. So those are the two times that security guards can go hands-on. But as security guard, yeah, they told us we can't step in front of someone, we can't prevent them from escaping. Even if they're on our property, they have to be given the opportunity to leave. You can't keep them there. You can't lock them in a room. This thing that they do in loss prevention, it's kind of a gray area, where they grab you and they lock you up in a room and call the police to come get you. I don't know, man. That's technically a no-no. I think you could file a lawsuit on that one, unless it's written somewhere on the receipt or somewhere before you go into Walmart that you agree that we can lock you in a room if we catch you stealing or suspect you of stealing. So, all right, guys. Thanks for being troopers and hanging in there. I do appreciate it. This is just going to be a recorded video now after this. I'm arriving home, so you guys be safe. We're having a cold front down here in South Texas, so I'm freezing my butt off. All right, guys, God bless, and I'll give you an update as soon as one comes up. Take care.